Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am back today with another weekly update. It has been a week full of rain, so the yard is very squishy walking through, and the garden is very much jungly. So let's go see what we can actually make it through to be able to see and check out what's going on. Alright, I think I have an escort helping me through the garden today. We're starting over here in the tomato patch as usual, and as you can see, things have grown quite wild, quite unruly. We're going to do our best to make it down this aisle without wrecking plants. We will see what happens though. We'll start back here. So these are determinate tomatoes at that end, and then we have semi-determinate tomatoes down here, and we have a Thorburns terracotta getting nice and ripe there. I'll actually harvest that this evening because it has been so rainy. All of the tomatoes that you see out here that are reaching some sort of ripe status, I'm leaving until the end of the day so the sun can kind of help concentrate the flavors a little bit better so we don't have flavorless, watered down tomatoes. Other than that, we have a lot of green tomatoes back here. There's a few that are starting to get ripe. Again, I'll wait until this afternoon to harvest those. And then we have flowers still blooming. The nasturtium are still hanging on. Because it's been pretty rainy the last few weeks, the temperatures have been much lower than normal at this point in the summer. So even though nasturtiums don't typically last this long for us here in North Texas, they're still cranking it out and chugging along, contributing to the jungle factor here. Grasshoppers. And then we have Thai red chili starting to get ripe on this plant, so I will harvest these again this evening after the sun has had a chance to kind of concentrate the spice in those. Hopefully make them a little bit feistier than they would be if I just picked them this morning. I had planted some green squash back here, but I am dealing with roly-poly problems. So I saw that it had germinated, but I think a roly-poly ate it because you can see where it got the radish as well. So fun times. This right here is a habanero plant somewhere in here, and we're starting to finally get a ripened habanero there right here. So I'll probably harvest this guy tomorrow after it gets one more day outside. An ant bit me. For the most part, the rest of the peppers in this bed are going to be a cayenne type. We have the hybrid Arapaho variety, which gets quite large, as you can see here with these guys. And then I have the Buena Mulata variety, which is this purple one here. And here's one that's starting to get ripe, so you can see how it changes color. Hey, buddy. It goes through, varying colors of the sunset as it ultimately becomes red. So at the end of the day, I'll harvest this guy, let my husband have that and chomp down on it. All right, we made it through to the end without breaking any plants. So pretty stellar. This wild plant right here, this is Italian oregano. I think it's going to be blooming soon, judging by what I'm seeing right here on the ends. So the flowers on this are like a really pretty pink, so that'll be really cool to see. Nice contrast against the purple here, and then of course all of the green. So here we go, another Buena Mulata getting ripe. Here's one that's closer to ripe. So yeah, you can see how it kind of goes through varying sunset-ish colors. On this side, on the back side, is indeterminate slicers and paste tomatoes. These are Darth Vader. Now, what I have noticed with this variety is when it rains, they split, period. If they're ripening at all, even if it rains for 45 seconds, they split. So I've had to throw out several, and you can see where this green one actually split too, so I'm gonna have to get rid of that. This is about the size that they get to before they start getting ripe though. So they're a pretty good size paste tomato. The ones that I have been able to harvest, I used in salsa the other day. So they are like a nice meaty tomato, not a lot of seeds and stuff. It made the salsa a little bit sweet, which if you like sweet salsa, then great, but we don't, so I won't be using them in salsa again. But they would make a great like canned tomato. Moving on down, one of these plants is a porter. Grasshoppers. Now, so the porter is going to be my summer producer. It produces well into the summer after everything else kind of stops whenever it gets hot. And I'm finally starting to see it blooming, so hopefully we see some fruit set on these soon. And then those will be used for canned tomato purposes as well. Moving on down, we have Super Sue. Now, I accidentally cut this plant whenever I was trellising it, or I broke it whenever I was trellising it. But it does have a really nice wow. It has a really nice sized slicer tomato. Right there, you can see right here. So with this one, Super Sue is more acidic than other tomatoes, so it is great for using in salsa if you don't like your salsas to be sweet. So that's how I've been using that. And this is the Juliet. This is going to be another heat tolerant producer. The plant has been, well, there's two plants, but they've been pretty prolific so far. You can see several that I'll need to harvest today. So this is a good one to have. They're not big tomatoes by any means. They're, you know, slightly bigger than grape sized, but I'm going to be canning them as well. I actually have to get more flats for the lids today so that I can do some canning, because I have several ripe tomatoes inside that need to be processed. Okay, so to talk about these, I'm going to come around to the other side because the nasturtium makes it kind of hard to see. So let me walk over here. All right, so this is Black Beauty, and it gets pretty dark purple all the way around, and then it's red on the inside. And then this is Wagner's Blue Green right here. And these I think are more cherry sized because this is a ripe one. So this is definitely more cherry in size than I thought originally whenever I planted it, but that's okay. It's gonna go in and we're gonna eat it. All right, then along the fronts of this bed is jalapenos until a little bit over halfway down, and then the rest is serranos. So we have pumpkin spice, orange spice, lemon spice, brown, and then we get into, this is the Jedi, which went into the salsa with the Darth Vader tomatoes, so I had Star Wars salsa. And then we have Pantera, and then regular jalapeno, and then we get into the serrano varieties and a bee. Hello, little bee. Talking about the bee. So whenever your basil goes to seed like this or goes to flower, the bees absolutely love it, which is why we saw that bee over here. So I typically just let my plants go, make the pollinators happy. Whoever has the local bees around here, you will have basil honey, and I'm sure it's delicious. Plus whatever other flowers they like to get into over here. So yes, okay, so the hybrid variety of serrano that I'm growing this year is Trapio, and it gets humongous. So this guy's getting ripe. You can see it's starting to get red shoulders here, so, and it's probably 4 to 5 inches long. So these are huge in terms of serranos, because typically they're like 2 to 3 inches long, so it's substantially larger. This is serrano as well. This is closer to like the normal size serrano variety. Then we have blue borage starting to bloom. This should help repel hornworms, because I have dealt with hornworms this year. Nothing this week though yet, because it's been so rainy. So maybe we got a bit of a reprieve on that for a little while. Here we go. Bee in the tomatillo there, if you can see it. Super cute. All right, so this back row, sorry, this is the front bed. On the back side is all cherry tomatoes, different varieties. This first one is a sun green 4029, and I noticed some that had some splitting right here from all the rain. It rained for 4 days straight, so I probably need to just come out here and remove a ton of different fruits because of all of the different splitting issues there, so you can see. Then we have cream of the crop sunset torch. It's an F1 hybrid. It's kind of teardrop shape, so as it gets ripe it is yellow and red, so it's a bicolor tomato. The flavor is all right. It's decent, and the plant is super prolific, so it does a good enough job that I'll probably grow it again. Although I do have other tomatoes in this bed with a better flavor, like its next door neighbor here, the Midnight Snack. So this is a large cherry, as you can see. It's red with purple shoulders. Let's see if we can find some ripe ones. That's one with some splitting, but you can see red with purple shoulders. It has a bit of a more intense flavor, more concentrated than that one. This is probably the second most flavorful tomato that I have this year for the cherry tomatoes. So we'll get to the most flavorful here in just a minute. Past this, we get into the cherry tomatoes that I grow in honor of my pawpaw every year. And then we have the most flavorful, which is Sun Gold. This one is just outstanding. Man, all of these are split. That makes me very sad. Okay, so Sun Gold has been the most flavorful, absolutely amazing, nice and sweet. Has that nice little cherry tomato bite where it's not just like super duper soft or mushy or anything. Probably in terms of like a cherry tomato, it's almost perfect. Then we have Sun Sugar. This one is not as flavorful as Sun Gold, although the production is decent. And then on the end, we have Super Sweet 100. So this is just a traditional red cherry. Again, the flavorful is decent, but not as good as Sun Gold to me anyway. Sun Gold has just been outstanding all season long. All right, so on the front side of that cherry tomato row, we have tomatillos, and then eggplant, and then more tomatillos at that end. You can see that things are just growing incredibly wild, even up here. In between, we also have pickle bush cucumber. There's one at each end. Several blooms. Not sure if I have any cucumbers. That one, I hear a bee buzzing. I don't want to make it angry. Okay, anyway, I'm not entirely sure if that cucumber was actually pollinated or not. I hear the bee, so hopefully it gets down there and starts buzzing around things. I need to get some more support in here for the tomatillos because, as you can see, the plant is going insanely bonkers. But we have shooting stars eggplant, which there's a little eggplant for shooting stars. Then we have Listata di Giandia, which we have an eggplant there. Then we have the Thanos eggplant, which is right here. So we have several eggplants growing, and I mostly use these for eggplant pizza on Fridays. Although if the plants become productive enough, then I'll make baba ganoush and some other eggplant preparations with them. You can see the dill here is doing really well. It is starting to go to seed. I'm just gonna let it happen. Hopefully it attracts swallowtail butterflies and I get some caterpillars on here, and I can contribute to the swallowtail population somehow, hopefully. These tomatillos I harvested several of, and I have a jar of tomatillo salsa fermenting in the pantry. I need to come out and do another harvest and possibly roast off tomatillos for salsa. Not as a fermented variety, just like a quick fridge salsa. In the middle, we have blue goose cowpeas. Pretty good germination on those. So here in a few weeks, we should start seeing some blooms and hopefully some pea some peas forming there. But there is a look at the super jungly tomato patch, wild and free. Lots of tomatoes growing, some flowers blooming, all the different things. So at the mid-June point, things are looking pretty good still. I have not had to add shade cloth yet because the temperatures have only been in the 80s. Next week I'll probably have to add it like Thursday or so, judging on the weather that I've been watching. So stay tuned for that, I guess. All right, so back here in the okra patch, there has been some substantial changes. So coming in to take a closer look, you'll see all of the bush beans are gone. I posted that video earlier in the week showing that, because what has been planted in here is cowpeas. This bed has the purple hole pink eye. You can see them starting to germinate here. So again, in a few weeks, we should start seeing blooms and fruit set from that. I did plant them throughout the entire bed wherever there's not other plants planted. So hopefully it's nice and filled in as time goes on and as summer progresses. Along here we have Ancho Poblano, these three, and then we have bell peppers for, I think, oh no, this is an ancho as well. So we have two bell peppers here, so you could see there, and then basil, of course, more basil, marigolds. So you can see that all of the fertilizer and stuff that I've been doing every single week has really boosted the growth of the plants in this bed. And then of course all the rain hasn't hurt anything either. What we have here is a green zebra zucchini. Last week I talked about how squash vine borers had kind of made a mess of things, and I was just waiting to see what happened with it. What is happening is that it's still growing. So we're just gonna continue on and see if we can get some zucchini to come out of here. You can see it is blooming, several blooms, several more to come. You can see the new blooms developing there. And then this is the Camo variety. This looks a little bit sad, but that's because I just keep moving it around. It's not sure which way it's supposed to point its leaves. This one also has had some vine borer damage, but it seems to just be pretty resilient so far, so we'll see. I did see a squash bug on it, but I killed it. I smushed it. So, and while I haven't been out here lately because of all the rain, I don't think there's been a horrible squash bug problem yet. I do need to come out and do some inspecting of the leaves to look for egg clusters and stuff, but so far so good. Hopefully we get some squash production off of this as well. This is a heirloom variety from New Zealand, so, and it's a really interesting looking squash, so hopefully we get something from it. Along the back is several okra plants, and they're all starting to get some good height on them, new leaves, all of that good stuff that you like to see when you're growing a garden. So I'm just continuing on with the fertilizer regimen and, you know, making sure that it has a steady source of water, even though this week it wasn't really a concern, and all of that stuff, so that we can have a happy, healthy garden bed here. Now along here, look, there's finally something going up the trellis. I'm so excited. So this is the green noodle bean. You can see here the beans that are growing. The flowers on it are lavender, so I was really confused because I wasn't expecting lavender flowers. I'll see if I can find the picture that I took and put it in here, because I was like, is that the butterfly, the lavender butterfly pea flower? But I think that's this one. This is the Hami melon. It's starting to climb as well. So if we can get some pollinators over here, hopefully we can get some melons going. And then the new Malabar spinach that I planted is right there. So we'll keep an eye on it and see if it grows better than the ones I originally planted. But overall, looking pretty good over here in okra patch land. the sunflower patch. There's a lot of sunflowers blooming. So along the back is Sunflower Steve's marl mix, and both of these are both from Marl's mix. So, and the reason why they're so different is because he hand created the genetics for these. So whenever you plant the seeds from them, they may not be exactly like the parent, which looks more like this one. It may look like a grandparent or great-grandparent or great-great-grandparent or how many ever generations back. So we have a lot of different variation in the flowers, which makes it really cool to come out here and see what's happening. And then the Darjeeling here, it's like a big cluster of flowers, if you can see that. So that looks pretty cool. Kind of starting to fizzle out, but still looks pretty cool. We'll have more blooming here. And then up front is Velvet Queen. The storms kind of knocked some of these over, so I can't remember the word for it, heliotropic or something. They automatically navigate themselves back toward the sun, so that's why they're growing back up again. But yeah, this is a really happy happening. All right, the other bed in the okra patch. Same thing, pulled out all the bush beans. We have cow peas planted in here. The variety in this bed is phenomenal, and it's black and white spotted like a cow, so it's fitting that it is a cow pea. I don't think I see any that have germinated yet, but that was just Monday. Today's Friday, so it's only been a few days. So hopefully here soon we see a lot more. This is the red noodle bean, and it is starting to climb, but I accidentally broke this off, so hopefully it continues even though I broke it. I was trying to train it and it snapped. And then obviously more okra. Some is doing better than others. And camo squash, green zebra down there. The peppers in this bed, we have 1 shishito plant, and then we have 4 candy cane chocolate cherry, and these plants put on a lot of fruits. So I've already harvested several that actually need to turn into paprika inside, but they just keep putting out more, so that obviously is a good thing. This right here, this wild thing, is a white icicle radish that is going to seed, and I'll kind of show you. This is not a fully mature seed pod. This is just kind of what it looks like. So the flower forms, and then the flower falls off, and this is what grows where the flower was. So you can kind of see a couple of them forming here. These are edible. I'm just gonna save seeds for future white icicle radish usage. It's supposed to help prevent squash bugs, not squash vine borers, because those seem to be resilient to everything, but squash bugs. And this plant has been blooming, but it's slowed down a little bit. Maybe it needs an extra shot of fertilizer. I can see some like baby blooms forming down there, so maybe it'll be okay. We have white borage here, just like its blue cousin, but white. So Calypso cilantro, still chugging along. I've harvested it a few times now, and it hasn't bolted yet, so I'm just gonna harvest it till it does. Other than that, also looking pretty good over here in this bed. So because it has rained for 4 days, we haven't been able to mow, so the grass is wild and insane, and it's really squishy out here, so I don't even know if we'll get to mow today. But the blue borage that's over here has lost its absolute mind. It fell over and then it just kept going. So I don't know. At this point, I think I need to kind of cut it off and see if I can get it to grow more over there. I don't know. But this is kind of what it is supposed to look like, where it's more contained, but this one just went really wild whenever it was growing. I have harvested most of the corn out of here. I have it inside. I plan to save the seeds and replant and all of that stuff. But this is blue spice basil, which is my favorite. It has like a vanilla kind of scent happening, and pollinators also love the little flowers on it. So I'm happy that I thought I planted holy basil here, but it's blue spice. Not disappointed. I'm gonna replant some holy basil to put in the pepper green stalk. So all is not lost. Tree growing in my way. All right, so sunflower patch is obviously nothing. There have been slugs and roly-polies in here. I need to come treat this and then replant it. I will replant it next week, not this week. So it's on my to-do list. Hopefully after next week we can get some more sunflowers going in here. We'll need to get them in and out because garlic will be going back in here in October. All right, so over here in the flower bed, if you watched last week's weekly update, you'll know that I cut a bunch of stuff down. So some of the stuff that I cut down included all 5 salvias that I had growing all the way down. I need to come back and dig it up because as you can see, it just pops right back. I also cut down all of the zinnias because they all had powdery mildew and they were starting to get really brown and crusty. So I just cut them down, got rid of them. I have some seedlings on the patio that need to be transplanted out. So hopefully I can get to that tomorrow or so. And then the rest of the plants in here are doing pretty well. We still have petunias. We have snapdragons over there with the little gnome. We have coneflower. We have gaillardia. And then we have Sahara rudbeckia that is blooming. So lovely. Calendula, milkweed, it's got aphids, so I need to, I think there is something that's not a ladybug that will eat the aphids, and then of course ladybugs will eat those aphids as well. Mostly the same thing down here, except we have the hollyhock that is fizzling out. I'm kind of just hoping that it drops the seeds and then it will just kind of volunteer itself next year. But otherwise we have some baby hollyhocks that will come to fruition fully next year, hopefully. More milkweed, petunias, marigolds, snapdragons. We have a rudbeckia down here that is about to bloom. I don't know if it's going to be the same orange shade. It looks kind of green right now, but that one did too until it opened. More gaillardia. This is the Indian blanket variety, which is typically what you see as a wildflower in the state of Texas. So the ginger is sprouting more and more. Here's a brand new one that sprouted yesterday, and then plus these. This is really starting to get some good height to it. So that makes me incredibly happy. And then over here, this one has 3 that have sprouted so far, and I pulled a slug off yesterday of this one. So hopefully we get a little bit more. Ooh, it smells gingery. Oh, that makes me happy. And then the turmeric, of course, has not germinated. That was, all 3 of these were an experiment. I wasn't going to be disappointed regardless of the results. This one was an ultra experiment because from everything that I read, turmeric is harder to grow than ginger. But I thought I would give it a try anyway. Nothing happening. It's okay. This green stalk, I planted pigeon peas in, kept it watered, all of those things. I only had 1 germinate, so I don't know if the seeds were just not good or what. They were all planted the same way, so maybe it was Christi error. I have no idea at this point. All right, pepper green stalk. So it still has this 1 tomato plant up here. Spider mites have really caused a lot of problems up here. We have this one over here. That is the last 2 of the tomato plants that I had in here. I had some dwarf and micro dwarf. And then we had a volunteer pepper. I don't know what kind it is. We'll just have to wait and see whenever it creates peppers. But the rest of the peppers are all doing really well. Storm, high winds knocked that guy over. So I keep trying to tuck it back in. Here we go. Cayennes, I've harvested a couple out of here. I harvested a bunch of jalapenos the other day, and I got some fermenting in the pantry. And then this serrano is starting to ripen. And then this is a pumpkin spice jalapeno that a hornworm just decimated, and it's coming back. So again, things are looking pretty good. Thai red chili, I need to come out and harvest a few. On the bottom, we have different varieties of eggplant. So there we go. We have 2 on that plant that are growing. I don't know if these have any. No, these don't have any. But other than that, a lot of pepper production going on. It's really convenient to just come out here and grab a pepper off the pantry off of the patio whenever I need it. We have a habanero getting ripe there. So something for my husband to give himself the hiccups on later. Strawberries. So I thought that this guy was like slowing down on production, and it is. It's pretty slow right now. But you can see there's a few strawberries I need to come harvest. It's blooming again. And then we're getting some runners that are coming off. So with the runners, I'm just going to drop them into empty pockets, try to get them to anchor so that we could fill every pocket with a strawberry plant. And then hopefully, you know, next season we'll have even more strawberries than we had this season. But I'll send Lily out to harvest those here in just a little while. Make sure there's not any others out here. There's a couple there. Oh, and over there. Okay, so she's gonna have herself a good little snack here in just a minute. Pretty cool. All right, so with this container, we can play, is it basil or is it a lime tree? Because the basil has absolutely gone haywire growing. There's several different varieties in here. This is the lime tree, FYI. I just got poked by something pokey. And then this is all basil. So we have Persian, lime, momolo, what I believe is cinnamon. I don't even know. I won't know until I see the flower spikes on this one, because it doesn't look exactly like the cinnamon, but it doesn't look like Persian or any of the other ones either. So that one is a surprise. So we'll see, but that's a lot of basil. I should probably just get some on a tray dehydrating so I can get it in the jar inside for use whenever a recipe calls for dried herbs. Add that to the to-do list, things to do. Sage, this, I have not killed it. It's like 4 years old and I haven't killed it yet, so yay for me for that. We have a bronze fennel in here with a Persian basil volunteer. And then this is all herbs over here. Some are medicinal, some are for tea, and some are for pollinators. Just depends on how I want to use it. Chamomile we're using for tea. I'll send Lily out to harvest these little flowers here. Lavender also using for tea. This one is for pollinators. This is Mondavian dragon balm. Calendula. Mint, of course, will last through the apocalypse. This is a ornamental oregano. And then we have, this is anise hyssop here. We have yarrow over here. Thyme. Move around a little bit, try to show you guys. Tarragon, regular hyssop, rue, and then marshmallow. That's a really tall plant here. So, pretty cool. So I wasn't actually sure how well this would do this year, but it has done really well, and it hasn't gotten in the way of mowing yet. Not that we've been able to mow, but it's done really well. So I'm happy that I decided to flip it to complete herbs. There are some that I need to add to here, but for next year, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. And then over here, this is all the seedlings that need to be transplanted out. This tray is mostly zinnias. There's some teddy bear sunflowers at the very back. And then this one is sunflowers and cosmos, and then some celosia and amaranth kind of back there a bit. I actually need to dump water out of these trays because, like I said, it rained for 4 days, so they're completely full. So after I'm done filming, I will take care of that so that the soil can dry out a little bit because it is quite soggy. But that is a look at the garden for mid-June 2025. After 4 days of rain, very jungly, very wild, but also very, very productive. All Alright, but that is all I have for you today. If you liked this week's weekly update and you want to continue to see how the garden grows and changes from week to week, please like, subscribe, and comment. Do all those different YouTubey things. Otherwise, until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!